Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast to guide you home into your human journey here on Earth. My name is Vivian Gerard, and it is my delight to co-create with Gaia and share our messages from Source in this now moment. Here we go. Episode 487. It is Friday here in Cincinnati. It's a little gray and rainy. We are on the other side of the Lionsgate portal. We are pre the full moon in Aquarius on Monday, which is also forming a T-square with Uranus and the Sun and Taurus and Leo. There is a big shift in energy that we are moving from in the Lionsgate portal into with the full moon. And so we sit here again in another in-between pause and in-between recalibration, settling into this potential. Let's take a breath. Let's be together for a little bit of time and see what comes up and feel into the possibilities together in the space that I call Gaia's Love Podcast. I was just reflecting with a couple of my friends in a mastermind about the differences in some of the spaces that I hold and how I feel the Gaia's Love Podcast versus, or in addition to, how I feel lighting up the grid, which are the conversations I have over on Instagram with beautiful thought leaders and visionaries. And then the community spaces that I'm in live, like in person or virtual, like in Insight Timer, what we're building there, and in the practicum, what I'm building in my business, and the masterminds that I'm in. There's so many different spaces or containers, that's probably a better word, containers of energy that I hold and move between, just in my little container of my life as Viv within the energy field of Gaia. And sometimes they're completely separate, and sometimes they start to overlap and move, come together in really beautiful ways. And that's what we were discussing today is, what are the differences and what are the similarities in these containers? And I don't know if I have a clear answer. I think that's where the title for today's podcast is coming from. It's a surrendering energy that I feel at this time for myself and for the collective, all of us as a humanity. There's a surrendering not into someone else having control over me or some other form of authority telling me to surrender. It's more like a surrendering into the consciousness, a surrendering into the energy, a surrendering into the flow of the current, and being open to where the collective current perhaps could guide us. Not to sweep us away or to overwhelm us or to make us submerge or submit to the collective current. It's this heightened state of awareness that we are in a collective moment, a collective shift. The astrology is guiding so much of what is happening with humanity. Gaia herself, the energy field of our planet, is holding a higher octave, a higher frequency. And we as the embodied souls, we as the humans, the 8 billion of us that are moving and creating and expressing energy here on this planet, we're all contributing something within the container. Perhaps that's the overlap in the way that I see myself holding my containers. There's the overall container that I feel for myself, which is my embodied soul's life as Vivian in this lifetime, and everything that I do and create within that, which is in partnership with Gaia. Gaia is the same. There's this container of energy that is the womb of our planet, the energy field of our planet. And every one of us as souls who choose to come and play and create in this energy field surrender to the collective experience that we're all going to co-create, because we make this agreement when we come to play here with Gaia that we're bringing our consciousness, we're bringing our creativity, our expression, our awareness into the energy field of Gaia. And then we co-create within that energy field with Gaia. So there's a surrendering to the agreement, a surrendering to the co-creation that happens. And when we're in the energy field of Gaia, the astrology is at play always, all around us. The planets are moving in harmony and contrast in T-square with our planet. And then as the sun, the moon, the astrology shifts, the energy, the consciousness that is moving in the energy field of Gaia shifts. We're in co-creation with the universe. We're in co-creation with all energy within our energy field of Gaia. So, what does all that mean? It means we can fight and resist the co-creation. We can fight the current like salmon swimming upstream. We can fight our way back to wherever we've been or where we thought we should be. We can push against where the current is taking us. Or there's this constant surrendering, in our power surrendering, in our choice surrendering. And I feel like that expression of surrender is heightened awareness. I'm so aware that there is a full moon in Aquarius that is forming this T-square with Uranus that is going to have these sudden, surprising shifts in energy. I'm fully aware that this is going to happen. My heightened awareness is showing me that we are in this moment where the current could move. And so instead of fighting that, I surrender into the energy, into the co-creation, into the pure potentiality of what we could co-create as a bigger group within a bigger container. And I bring my full awareness into the moment. There's a show I used to watch that just came to my mind called Limitless. And it was a movie and then it became a series for a little while. And in that show, there's this drug, TZF or I don't know. There's this drug that they take, the people who are the main characters. And when they have this medicine, it gives them this heightened ability to weave everything together, to see how every single thing that ever happened in their journey so far interacts and is available in their brain to pull forward as information in the moment that they need it. And so they can have understandings and see solutions and find the pathway through something just so quickly because they have this ability to bring it all together. The price for that medicine in the show is it deteriorates their body so quickly, and that deterioration of their body will eventually kill them. So they have the heightened awareness, but the price is death faster with a lot of pain and suffering. And so it sort of gives this message of you can be all knowing, but then you're going to die. There was another movie called Lucy that had a very similar message. You take this blue powder crystal thing and you have all this understanding of how everything fits together and you can move through time and space, but then you die. You speed up your death. And the point of those movies too is there's this surrendering to the consciousness, the power of everything, of knowing everything, and the price is high for that. I would offer, this is a big statement, but I would offer that the movement that humanity is making as a collective with the astrology of going from Pluto in Capricorn into Pluto in Aquarius in November for the next 20 years, and then into Pluto in Pisces, is that the direction that humanity is headed is heightened consciousness, heightened awareness of how everything is constantly at play and we can see it and understand it. We can surrender to the co-creation, to the current more and more, knowing we're bringing so much of our presence into this moment that all of us doing that elevates the consciousness of our planet. Like, the frequency of humanity is heightened. Our ability to see how things all weave together and the patterns are so clear. Our awareness is greater. And when we have that awareness, it's like, I don't want to mess with the things that are not in alignment. I don't want to waste my time on the silliness. Like, why would I do this when I could be in this experience? And as we all elevate to this heightened consciousness, the experience of life on our planet becomes better, richer, greater. We are literally building, co-creating what I and many others have tried to put words to. So we call it the new earth. We call it heaven on earth. We give it all these titles, but it's more, we're trying to put words to an experience of being in the human body that somewhere in ourselves we like calibrated or programmed our DNA. This is how I feel. When we as souls chose to come have a human experience, we programmed into our cells of our body that there is this potential reality we could all co-create, this potential frequency we could all hold. But it would not be until it was the right time or the right moment. And so I feel like in our cells of our body, we all know that it's possible. We light up inside when someone says the right word or the right combination. This is perhaps in human design or in gene keys terms. We'll use gene keys. In gene keys terms, our hologenetic profile is set within us of being able to embody almost all gift and all siddhi and no shadow. There's an ability within our system to individually express whatever our hologenetic profile is at its best. But we agreed to come here to Earth and work through the shadow, clear the shadow within our profile first, to move into the gift, to perhaps one day actually master and be in the siddhi. Each one of us, every single soul in a human body, I believe, agreed to that potential existence. And so now we're here, and we've been breaking down the shadows. We've been breaking down the limitations. We've been working through all of the layers of resistance, all of the places we don't want to surrender, where we don't believe that it's possible, where we believe the price for that level of expression is we speed up our death, we die sooner. There's no way we could have this incredible experience without the price. I feel like we've been working through that, clearing that in so many layers, in so many ways, in so many limitations. And it's so much. It's been such a journey. And maybe it's just been in our lifetime. Maybe it's been over the last, thousands of years. I don't know how far out we want to really take this theory that I'm presenting. But what if we've really reached a point, a moment in consciousness now, where as we are making our way towards Pluto in Aquarius, there's going to be this tipping point, this moment where we're like, oh, we've done so much of the work. Now it's just going to be a sliding into this experience of humanity in its perfection, a moving towards consciousness where we really are embodying the greatest expression of ourselves, and we're living it and we're sharing it, and we are being that hologenetic profile that's in its gifts almost all the time with maybe some peak moments of siddhi, and then there's this more and more siddhi. And maybe by the time we complete Pluto in Pisces, I may or may not be alive. Others may or may not be alive at that time. We're talking 30, 40 years from now. What if by the time humanity reaches that Pluto in Pisces moment, humanity is fully expressed in gifts into siddhi? Like, we are living in that frequency. Our individual profiles are activated at their peak, at their highest. What does Earth look like when humanity is living in that way? What kinds of solutions are we creating together? Are we, clearing? Like, What if our planet is buzzing with optimal health and vitality? The oceans are pure. The grass is not fertilized. The food is seeded with intention and vitality and all that we need through photosynthesis to infuse our human bodies with life force. The chi moves from the plants to the food to the human to the waste into the water into the air, and like everything humanity and earth are optimal. What would that experience of life be? We would call it the new earth. We would call it heaven on earth. And for many of us, myself included at times, we sit in this current understanding of reality, this 3D world, and we look at the waste and we look at the harm and the destruction and the poverty and the hunger, and we look at all the places where we are not yet that, and we think, how will it ever evolve to that? And I say we have 8 billion souls who have a frequency within their humanness that has that potentiality inside. And as we start to spark each other awake, as consciousness moves through our human forms, more and more and more and more and more and more and more, we normalize living in this way of full embodiment. I call it infinite embodiment. The soul is guiding the human journey. The soul is fully expressed and living full-on human. Like living potentiality expressed. Our hologenetic profile activated. Like we are that. And the more and more and more and more and more of us who are that, the more normal it becomes to be that, and the more abnormal it becomes to not live that way. And so there's the tipping point. There's the movement from this is normal life into, oh, this is normal life. Maybe it's more this way. This is normal life. No, this is normal life. We don't have all of the wasted resources, energy, pain, suffering. We don't need that anymore. The human experience has evolved to something different. Wow. I came on here to talk about the full moon in Aquarius. I am an Aquarius sun and Aquarius moon, Taurus rising. And right now this T-square coming up on the full moon in Aquarius on Monday is hitting every one of my aspects in my chart. Like, it is a spotlight that is just amplifying my hologenetic profile, my birth chart, the soul within the human form that is living here as Vivian. And the thing is, I don't know if I could tell you I see the exact path, the exact way. I feel like I have a sense of which way it is. So I'll share that with you, and then let's see how it plays out. I'm not quite sure how that will go. When I first started having, this will be a little story time. When I first started my spiritual awakening, remembering, I talked about it last week in the podcast called 9 Years Later. It happened in stops and starts. So I was going through a divorce, and I had all of these awarenesses about, relationship and parenting and my idea of family. And I started learning how to read energy, my own, and then eventually the energy of other people. And then I went through my divorce. I eventually met my husband, and years later we moved in and got married. And then there was this next understanding of, if I'm not in crisis, if I'm in the field of potential and creation, what wants to move through me? And that's when plant medicines became my teacher, my ally, along with humans. And so I would be in journeys, all these journeys where I was opening my consciousness and then receiving these stories, these memories of this lifetime, other lifetimes, other realms. And so I started writing books and creating my podcast, and at the same time living life and doing my energy sessions with clients and building community. But the books that were coming through were ways that I could take what I was remembering of my consciousness and put it into a digestible format that someone could receive at their own time. And so these books are all on Amazon, and they're coded transmissions of remembering of energy. The first one was about how I understand the dimensions of consciousness when we're opening up that hologenetic profile, when we're awakening and remembering, and we're shedding the shadow, the fear, and we're stepping into more love, more alignment. What is that journey like, embodied? And so infinite embodiment was actually seeded or birthed in that book, One Day, My Soul Journey in the Gaia Tribe, because I talk about how I started embodying more of my soul and what that did in my body, what that felt like, how I navigated through that, what resources I pulled in from books, from podcasts, from videos, from music, how I walked myself through my own infinite embodiment process of the dimensions of consciousness, from third to fourth to fifth to sixth, all the way when the book ended to 14, 15. And now it's so much more than that. The dimensions of consciousness, as I feel them, are concentric circles that are just so wide right now. And then the second book was about a children's story. It was about autism and how I understand the expansion that is happening through the next generation, through children, and how they become our teachers when we're open to it. And autism is a structure that we've given to these blue souls, these advanced souls who are here to teach us, to hold space for us, to awaken us, to help us in the journey as infinite embodiment. And then the third book, which is the one I want to really discuss for a moment here, the sun just came out. The third book is One Day, Gaias Gifts, and I describe how my soul tribe that I was birthed with from Source has encoded or programmed energy into portals here on our planet, and each one of those energy portals holds a healing, a releasing of a limitation, an activation to help us move out of the shadow and into the gift as a collective humanity. And the specific time and experience of the story, each one of the 14 has some specific purpose that will help humanity to move through a releasing, a shedding. It's a support for us as we move through this Pluto in Aquarius journey towards Pluto in Pisces. It would be like an elixir. And as we take a little bit more of each one of those energy portals, something inside of our system is healed and activated. And the way that I received the book was one chapter at a time, one story at a time. I would sit and meditate, and this download would happen, and I would hear another voice, the voice of the person who was the being that was in my soul tribe, telling me the story. I didn't know the story. It's not my story, but it's part of my soul tribe story. And they would almost like dictate the story, each one, to me. And I would record it into my phone, audio, and then I would type it up. And that's how the book was birthed. At the end of each one of the stories, that person, that soul that is a person on this planet now, most of them, they would tell me how the energy portal would be activated. And what started to come through is we're going to have these festivals, we're going to have these gatherings where lots and lots of people will start to come together at that location where the energy was held, and we'll expand the energy, we'll activate the opening together. The energy is there, and then the humans, the physical presence, would expand and activate more and more of the healing that would ripple through humanity. It was really big. And when I received it, I wasn't quite sure it was true. So I decided I would start with the energy portal that was mine, the last one in the book. And so I had that energy experience here. We called it Gaia's Love Festival '01, and it was in August of 2019, right before the world went into COVID. I think I talked about this last week. And it activated so much in my human journey. There was so much that shifted that it was very intense. And so I've been resisting ever since then. I'm like, oh, let's shut that down. Let's not do that again. We're not going to co-create in that way. Like, I don't know what this book is, but I don't know if it's good for me, if it's good for everybody. And so I've been living life and doing all these other things and preparing myself is what I'm coming to see. Preparing myself for this time now where the message I keep getting over and over, especially since the Lionsgate portal was activated, is your big mission, Viv, your big why. The reason you're here is to guide these energy portal activations, to lead humanity in as big numbers as want to play through this time of Pluto and Aquarius. And to do it by starting with opening the portals first through the documentary and then going back and strengthening the space, inviting people to join me and allowing those to gather who are ready for that. And then surrendering, trusting that when I'm in alignment with my mission, my purpose, my vision, the universe, Gaia, astrology, my soul, all the beings who work with me support that alignment and strengthen it and expand it. And my work is just to keep surrendering to that current, to trust that current, and to pay attention with heightened awareness to what's happening and how to steady myself and walk myself in this current of energy. Backfloat is the image I keep seeing. It's not even walking. It's like just laying. There's a great card in the Osho deck called Going with the Flow, and it shows this person just floating in the middle of this river and just being carried. And that's really how it feels to me. And I know that feeling. I call that feeling flow. I think in The Great Leap, The Big Leap, he calls that the zone of genius. It's where Gay Hendricks, I think, is the author of that book. It's where you are so in your zone. Some people call it God zone. I think Melanie Ann-Layer calls it God zone. When you're so in alignment with the current of energy that is your soul expressing at its best, at its optimal, there's just this that happens. And it's absolute magic. It's absolute magic. And I think as humans, we sometimes doubt, one, that that's possible, or two, that when we feel it, we can actually surrender to it. We like to control our lives and control our human experience, and it's a little risky or scary in our minds to surrender. So here I am, modeling it as I surrender, going, oh my gosh, really, really? Yeah, really, really. So what does that look like for me? It's being so present with where I know I'm guided to be each day, and trusting that the time and the space and the energy and the resources that I need for each moment will present themselves. So like tonight we have a benefit and I'll be fully present for that. Tomorrow I have the whole day to create, so I will be fully present and create and put the pieces in place for my work. Sunday I'm with my husband and we're going to be playing for a while and then putting some of his pieces in place for work. Monday my family needs me, so I will be with my family all day. Like it's walking through each moment and being so present, bringing my full awareness, my heightened awareness into each of the spaces I'm in. And then surrendering to what's happening in and around and through me. Not laying down, surrendering, like, do whatever. It's heightened awareness, presence, full presence. And then surrendering to this current that I know is for my highest and best good. I know when I'm in alignment with my soul, which I am, that the magic that co-creates all around me serves everyone around me. That the way I co-create with Gaia and Source and the archangels, it serves all. It serves the collective. And when we know that and we trust that and we we surrender again and again to that. It's the surrender experiment with Michael Singer. You create a life that is beyond what your human mind could try to come up with. Astro Butterfly has an amazing article that she just emailed right before this. I was just reading it. And she said, the truth will set you free at this full moon, T-square Uranus. And she said, but first it will piss you off. And that's what surrendering often feels like. We're like, what? No, it can't be. I don't want this. That's ridiculous. How even? But then we know, our soul knows there's a grand plan that is at play. Our soul knows this. And somewhere in our humanness, we know this too. Our bodies are coded with the potential of who we came here to be. And we know when we're in alignment with that, and we know when we're not. So at this full moon, this would be a really powerful time. If you want to meditate, there's a meditation I'm uploading right now to Insight Timer. Full moon, what did it call it? I think it's just called Full Moon in Aquarius. And it's a guided visualization for this time. You can sit under the light of the full moon. Sit outside. I'm going to do that this weekend. Sit outside in the light of the full moon and feel yourself here on this planet. Feel yourself here in this body. You're here. You're here. And then trust how you're guided to move from an embodied experience. Feel your place here among 8 billion others, and our place in Gaia within the whole universe. It'll amaze you. There's a great card in Osho that's called Existence. I just read it into the Lionsgate portal on our Insight Timer calls. And it says, without you, the universe would not be the same. You bring a specific energy, intention, consciousness into the collective. And if you weren't here, it says every rock, every tree would miss you. Every star, every planet would know that you were not here. So if you're here with purpose, with intention, what's going to flow through you? Where's the current going to take you? It's so exciting. It's so exciting. I don't even know how much of that made sense, because that was just pure transmission of energy. But I'm trusting that you received what your soul brought you to this co-creation with me to hear, to receive, to activate. A great song is Surrender by, I think it's Alexis Chelin. I was just listening to it right before I recorded this, and I'm going to play it at the end of our Insight Timer hour together. It's a beautiful activation, remembering that surrender is actually a powerful choice and the highest expression of co-creation. So, here we go. Full moon in Aquarius, conjunct T-squared, blah, blah, blah. Uranus, let's go. Let's go. So much love to you. Thank you for tuning into this vibration of pure love. Let's take this message of Gaia's love out into all of our relationships and communities today. So much love from my heart to yours.